Sweet. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the live stream here. So we're live streaming here on YouTube, so everyone can see, right? This is my little station. I'm going to be talking to you guys, not about SC, but I will be talking to you about some of the stuff that we saw, preliminaries here for the stock markets. I'm going to open up with SPY. A couple of things that I want to bring to your guys' attention. We had CPI come today. So CPI was a little bit hotter than what we anticipated. So our CPI overall metric and data, I thought that it was sort of significant, but it didn't really warrant anything that I thought was like overly crazy or anything outside of context. So just as a quick intro, I'm going to be doing this for all the live presentations going forward. The slides are going to change a little bit, and also just the way that this is presented is also, I would say, kind of a little bit different every time we go over this. But for right now, our agenda is going to be a quick intro, and then we're going to do a quick rundown of the indexes, and then we're going to talk about the CPI and all CPI aftermath, right? And then we'll do some trade reviews of the morning scalps today. I made $1,000 today. I want to show you what it is that I did for you guys to start using sort of the context that we have here that we give you to maybe start pointing out some of the trade opportunities for yourselves. A lot of what it is that I do is more experience-based, but I can tell you this, I did my alpha lesson this morning. I thought it was pretty successful alpha lesson. I was also on live today. I think that probably the best characteristic for you as a trader in general is more so you adhering to your stop losses and adhering to your drawdown limits, and also keeping in check some of your trading size amount. And then I'll do 5 trading ideas, because I'm a trading idea factory, literally. And then we'll talk about some questions that you might have at the end here. So let's go back here to the charts. First and foremost, as an intro, a lot of you already know who I am, but I am an option seller. Been trading here with High Strike for a hot minute. I do scalping as well. So my scalping strategy might be a little bit different than yours. That's perfectly fine. The way that we scalp, we like to cut positions relatively quickly, and we like to leave our runners on, right? I've been trading for a little over, well, it's going to be 12 years here in February. But yeah, that's the breakdown for me. So I'm going to talk now about the breakdowns on SPY. If we just look, I caught some positions off some levels that I shared with the guys for the last 2 days. And there was some guys that made some decent money today. Not everyone, but some guys and gals did make some decent money. So if we're looking here on the 30-minute time frame on SPY, most immediate target levels that I have for myself is going to put us targets to the upside. I need to see a break above about 476.75 in order for us to start seeing continuation all the way up here to about 478, right? So that will be my target area for going into the end of the week tomorrow for January 12th, and also for next week, right? After we have a holiday on Monday, but after this, I'm looking for maybe a 480 target area. So on the 2-hour time frame, if you just look, pulling back on the daily time frame, you really can't see it too much. It's a little too granular, but we're right on the precipice of an all-time high here on SPY. So a reattempt at this all-time high, I think, would be more or less what it is that I'm looking for. If we do start to pull back, which we saw an initial knee-jerk reaction from CPI. CPI came in just 0.3% hotter than what was anticipated, but we started to recover pretty well. I'll show you actually here for the pre-market on the 5-minute time frame. This is the initial drop that we got, and then we started getting the recovery going into market open. So our previous almost attempt at all-time high, we had 3 rejection points, and then we finally got the move down here lower. I only made positions on longs today. And you're probably thinking, how the hell did you make positions on longs if the day was a short day? Well, there's opportunity that's always abundant in the market. Just because we were short at open doesn't necessarily mean that we always have to follow suit. I actually had a positive bias here for a SPY. So still have a little bit of an underlying positive bias. More so a little bit more on tech. Depending on how the banks trade tomorrow, I was just talking about this with my post-market video. If the banks do fairly well, your JP Morgans, your Citis, your Schwabs, more or less your Wells Fargo, if they sort of do well, then I'm thinking that SPY does breach that threshold of 478. Now, if we don't do well, then let me give you some of my targets to the downside, right? So we talked about the 5-minute here. Let's do the 30-minute time frame. If we're looking to break below some thresholds here, in my personal opinion, if we look at the 30-minute time frame, you're looking at an attack first and foremost at right about 470, 474. And then we're looking to break below the low of day of what we saw for today's trading price action. And that's going to put us right at 472.50. Breaking below that, you have the shelf that you created for yourself. I have another little area pocket, I'm going to call it, at 469.50. And then below that, I have a target all the way down to 466. Okay. So these are some of the target areas. If y'all, maybe some of you want to take screenshots of this, that's fine to do. These are my target areas lower, right? So I still have a long bias, but right now for futures, it looks like we are pulling back just a teeny tiny bit. So we are pulling back, and that's it. That's all I have to say here. All right, now let's go here for the Qs. I'm not going to throw an abundant amount of data at you because I know a lot of us, we're all using different tools. I like using a tool called TradyTix. I'm not here to sell you on TradyTix. It's just a tool that I enjoy using. I saw some shorts coming in on NVIDIA. I did see some shorts coming in on XLF. So if you don't know what that is, it's an ETF that is responsible for the finance sector. So the finance sector being shorted as heavy as it was today with high put volume coming in right before major earnings is sometimes a little bit of a tell of a sign. So we'll talk about JP Morgan as soon as I'm done with Qs and IWM. So if we just look at market sentiment overall, right, we're looking at some of the larger positions that have come in. We have some negative delta positions for NVIDIA, and we had some positive positions coming in for Amazon. Amazon, we're in right now. We're going to be taking off our Amazon position for 100% gain. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be the case. So I took my long positions on Amazon, and I'm kind of interested in shorting some of the Moras and coins and things like that. I did take a short on live on coin. Unfortunately, I took it off because I was playing chicken with the market. I took it off. I was looking to make $600 on this trade expiring today, but I took it off because it hit one of my stop losses. And if you just look at coin just hit 141, I believe. So that sucked, but it is what it is. You know, it's just part of the trading game. All right, so going a little bit lower, we're looking for something indicative of short positions coming in. I don't have a lot of that here. I saw that one of the strongest sectors that were for today were tech sectors, right? So we're getting some longs on Amazon. Baba's not really. We're getting some longs here on Citi. We're getting longs on VIX, so that's something we want to pay attention to. Got some longs on Marvel, and then we have some other ones that are not too big market movers. We have BAC, Mara, USO. All right, so these are kind of interesting. And then we have some longs there on JP Morgan, but inversely to that, we do also have a good amount of shorts that have come in. So overall, on the tech sector for Qs, I have, first of all, a 407 area. If you look on my 5-minute time frame, I do have levels all the way down here. I did take a long position on the Qs today, and I did make money on it. And then I also took a long position on SPY, which I'll talk about here when we do the trade review stuff. But all in all, if we start to hit some of the target levels, especially here at 407 and then break below, and if we can hold 405, I think that we do trade maybe down to the $400 pocket. So that 405 level down to right around here, 402 is what I'll be looking at. And breaking below 402, I'm thinking that we trade down to about 397. Now, if we start to get a nice little turn for tomorrow, the area that we need to beat is going to be 411, and you're looking for a new all-time high rush levels. So 411 is not necessarily the all-time high level quite yet. Your all-time high level is going to put you right at 414. Cool? So that's sort of the undulation that I'm looking in the market. If you're asking me, hey, Sage, where are we going to go tomorrow? I don't know. What I do know is that I will be following price action, and I follow a game plan when we are hitting what I call contingencies. So my contingencies are my levels. So if I'm hitting a specific level, from there, depending on the reaction and depending on the moving average crosses or the VWAP, or some of you are using RSI, MACD, some of you using Bollinger Bands, some of you using all these indicators, that's fine. That's fine. So long as that it is a strategy or system that you have tested out and one that works for you and that you have clear-cut decisions that you're making off of. If you're still adhering to the pedigree of setting specific stop losses for yourself, I don't care what it is that you use for indicators. The only indicator that we don't use is our feelings, right? Because our feelings don't matter a damn thing in the market. What does matter is information and data, right? So I just kind of want to throw that in there. So Qs, right now, if we do start to pull a little bit lower, the 407 level is what I'm kind of looking at. And really, if we start breaking above this 409.50 area, I will be targeting 411. Now let's talk about IWM. What did I just say on IWM and some of the other, I would say some of the other finance stuff? IWM, I think, is a little bit of a laggard, right? So IWM for me needs to break above 194, and then it might see some continuation all the way up to about 195.35. So this is the move to catch tomorrow if you are looking to scalp. I am not looking to scalp IWM. I am already indirectly long IWM. I've said it a million times, but I have a 3 times leveraged ETF on this. So I am long IWM, but more so for shares. But if I'm looking to protect my position, or if I'm looking just for some clarity on direction right now, I would personally look for what I would call a consolidating pocket. So any consolidating pocket that you have for me is where you have a large amount of accumulation, where your volume profile is most pronounced. For me, that's going to be the 185 area. So 193 is what we're trading at right now. It was the laggard for today. It definitely was. On the 2-hour time frame, if we cut below the level where we bounced off of at 191.50-ish, I'm thinking we fill the gap down to about 188. So those are some of the more immediate targets that I have on IWM. For me, IWM is more of a long if we can break above 196, and then I would be targeting closer to about 198. Can we get above 198 for the time being on IWM? Between us, my personal opinion, I don't think we do. I think just from trading and doing earnings, right, 4 times a year per each individual stock for banks, there is a little bit of a consensus in the market that banks have a very strong tendency of selling off for earnings. That being said, I do not want to talk about the diamonds today. The diamonds are kind of boring to me right now, so I don't really want to talk about them. But I do want to talk about JP Morgan. So JP Morgan is unbelievably stretched. Unbelievably stretched. To me, JP Morgan has maybe another try here at 166. I understand that there are longs coming in on JP Morgan, and they're there. I mean, they're definitely there. But this is just way too overextended in my opinion. If I take a long on JP Morgan, I have already taken my long in the finance sector. I've made quite a few long positions when we were not JP Morgan, but I did take a couple longs. Some of you might remember this for about maybe 2.5 months ago. I took my long positions on JP Morgan when we were roughly around this area right here. And then I never looked back. I didn't want to, I still think it's way too overextended, but since some regional banks went under and this has just been literally cleaning up the street, JP Morgan is a strong proponent for some continued price action upwards. 172 is the target level to the upside. If this starts to pull back, I am only comfortable taking long positions on JP Morgan closer to right here, 158 and as low as 155. But Sage, that looks like it's, eons away. Well, it is what it is. If we pull back enough on this trade, I'd be more comfortable in my long positions. So JP Morgan will be tomorrow. Citibank is another one. This is what I'm looking at for JP Morgan. So I'm looking for JP Morgan to do what Citi is doing right now, is pulling back here at the top. I took my long positions on Citi. I made several thousands of dollars here on Citi. So what I did for Citi is last time when we were trading about $44, if you look at some of the white papers that we have, I took this long and I went nice. I went nice on this trade because I was looking at the long orders that were coming in, not just here. I was using TradeEtics as well. And I was using another software program that I like. It's called Market Chameleon. I was looking at this. I was looking at the bum rush going into earnings, and I caught the move. I definitely caught the move. So Citi, I don't know exactly when they will have earnings, but this is the price action that I'm looking at for JP Morgan. I'm looking that it has put in its top and it's waiting to pull back. Let's look at a couple other stocks as well. I'm going to look at Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo is here. This is already doing what I think JP Morgan is going to do. It'll flutter around, it'll kick, it'll scream, and then it'll start giving up some levels. If you know that I'm a moving average trader, because I talk about it every single presentation that I do, if you're getting your moving average cross, you're looking to give up this shelf right here. This shelf is going to be your lifeline. If you see some continuation, you should be targeting first level is going to be here at 47.75, and then below that, I would target about 46.50. So a short position on Wells Fargo is what I'm thinking. I want to wait till after the report, though. I don't want to be pre-active, or I don't even know if that's a word, but I want to be, or proactive, I should say. I don't want to be in preliminary for the move. I want to look to trade the move or the potential continuation after we have the data. So if that's to the upside, then by all means, then we're looking to look, maybe trade a breakout here. So this is consolidating right now. If you have any idea what you're doing in the market, you look for consolidating pockets, and the more something consolidates, the more it builds up energy and the more it's looking to break out in either direction. So that's Wells Fargo for you. We'll look at Schwab real quick. So Schwab is already doing and already following suit. I think that Schwab trades down to about $61 here shortly. And then I think the last thing that I want to do is Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs is sort of in that space, in that realm as well. So Goldman Sachs needs to hold 375. $4 move to the downside is my target area to start taking some shorts on this. All right, so cool. We went over, let's look at our agenda here real quick. We went over a quick rundown there on the indexes, the ones that were most important. I'm going to talk about some CPI stuff, and we did talk a little bit about what I think that the banks are doing, but more so as it pertains to CPI. If we're just looking at some of the data that came in, the data was suggesting that the Feds probably will wait a little bit longer in order for them to cut rates. So this means that they're going to be dragging their feet. That's exactly what this means. So if they do drag their feet, that means that SPY might be coming down just a little bit, fluttering a little bit. But I will tell you this, as soon as we get that first interest rate cut, that's where the market starts to get interesting. I am making my money not so much on SPY. Not so much on SPY. I am making it in the bond market. So the bond market today, if we just look at TLT, we had a pretty nice little undulation here. So this undulation is what is moving my overall account. Interest rate, a little bit of that price action, a little bit of interest rates coming down for the specific bond market, those yields, something that I watch quite often. Sorry, I was distracted with one of our guys sending me a picture in our Discord of his daughter. He's probably going to watch this video later on as well. But yeah, lovely picture. They're at a concert. Anyway, let me get back on track here. So looking at TLT, if we have a pullback enough on TLT, since we are in this environment where we're just looking to clip the wings on some interest rates here, if we're looking on the daily time frame, I'm just waiting for this bad boy to pull back to about $92. And then I want to look to get on a long position on TLT as well. I know a lot of you don't even care about the bond market. I have a significant investment in this. And I also, I mean, if anyone is a little bit of a larger trader or you have some capital, I like parking things and things that move relatively slow. So TLT is a candidate for that. All right. So more so on CPI stuff, I didn't necessarily see an incredible amount of short positions. Actually, the exact inverse of that, I've been seeing some long positions coming in on the market. So these long positions are more so not so much SPY, Qs, IWM, blah, blah, blah. I've been seeing it in different little pockets. Amazon has been one. We had some long positions come in on Google, right? So if anyone has seen Google lately, this is not doing terrible, right? This is really, really not doing terrible. It's hanging around, I believe, the 52-week time period high. Cool. So we're not looking to break all-time highs, at least not quite yet. So there it is. Cool. If we do start to see those pullbacks, for me, my area to start shorting SPY is going to be if we break below about 470, 467. So there's that. Now I'm going to do the trade reviews for the trades that I took today. So in particular, SPY, I'm just going to go over two trades. I ended up making $1,000 on these positions. So what it is that I did first off is I was very clear at market open that I did not want to chase some longs and see if there is a breakout to the upside. So what did I use as confirmations for this? I was actually using the CBOE volatility index. We talked about this yesterday. If you're not aware, the volatility indexes are going to tell you the fluctuation of volatilities in the market, right? So that's pretty simple. So I was looking at the VIX, and the VIX at market open, it was down. So as soon as we started seeing rejection, right? Let's use the 1 minute. As soon as we started seeing rejection early at market open, I said to myself, and I said on live, I said, we probably don't want to look to chase longs right now. We're already overextended to the upside. So we's going to wait. So we waited on this trade. And then we waited again because we didn't get a strong confirmation for longs right here. So my first position that I took long, I actually took right here. So I took this and then I clipped the swing a little bit actually shy of this move to the upside. So I clipped the wing here. I think we made $30 on this trade. It was actually on Qs. It wasn't on SPY. So let me at least be accurate. So my first position on the Qs, I took it and then I clipped the wing. I clipped it fairly quickly, right? So same exact price action. And then as soon as we started breaking lower, I cut the position, okay? And then after that, what I did is I was just waiting for this to create a floor or a base right here, but we never got our moving average crosses, which is what I use for my confirmations long. So guess what? I waited. I waited, and then I got off live. And then what did we do? We created an inverse head and shoulders pattern here on the 1 minute time frame. I'm going to give you a disclaimer here. I'm not using those chart patterns, the ones that you read in technical analysis books. I'm not using that on 1 minute time frames usually. I'm not giving it too much weight or merit in my decision making, but I do use it on larger time frames. So your 4 hour, daily, weekly, you guys get it. But here, this was fairly interesting. I got in this position when we were starting to turn right here. Reason why I took that position, right? Let me try to zoom in here. The reason why I took this position is we were looking at an engulfing candle. So as soon as I got my engulfing confirmation right here, I was looking at my turn for my 9 and my 13, and then I took what's called a put credit spread as opposed to calls. I didn't want to do calls today. So I did a put credit spread here, and then when we started to almost cut below where our low day was, this was where my stop loss was. So I was looking to risk about $50 on this trade, maybe $50, $75, around that range. So that's where I put my put credit spread position. So from here, what I did is I took a $400 position, aside from the other 2 positions that I took that were basically longs as well. I took a long on IWM and QQQ in conjunction with this trade, ended up with $1,100 today. I think we posted it somewhere on Instagram or something. But anyway, I look to hold on to this position. I had my stop loss set. I've since deleted it because I'm no longer in the trade. And then we started undulating, right? So this undulation back and forth is what we wait for as traders, because nothing in trading goes exactly how you want it to. You don't put on a trade and then all of a sudden it explodes to the upside or to the downside. It just don't work that way. You just need to wait on it. So that's what I did here on my put credit spread. We started to undulate back and forth, and then all of a sudden we started to move upwards. I wanted to cut my position as soon as we were breaking to the upside here, but at this point in time, I was already up like 80% on my trade, so I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to hold on to it, and that's exactly what I did. And then the market started recovering. When we were all the way up here, my trade was already 95% up, and then I opted to take off my position. I believe I took it off at 99% gain today. So that was my overall trade. The 2 things that I want you guys to notice from this presentation is, first of all, I was looking for my confirmation. We had 3 legs lower on SPY. Normally, when we have 3 or 4 legs, usually on that 4th leg, I'm looking to go in on a change of direction. But what am I talking about when I'm looking at legs lower? We have a leg lower here, boom, and then we didn't hold the floor. Then boom, we had a second leg lower. And then what did we do? We rounded the corner, boom, we had a 3rd leg lower, and then we did have a 4th leg lower as well. So that 4th leg, it's very unusual for SPY to see further continuation or see a trend all the way up or all the way down. That's not normal price action. Those are called trend days, either upwards or downwards. I was just looking for my volume to come in, and then I was looking at those indicators that I just shared with you guys. Some of you know that I like using TTM squeeze, and I also like using the RAF. Those are things that you need to pay for, but nonetheless, just to simplify things, basically, they're telling me the same information that the moving averages are telling me. So I took the trade here. I set my stop loss fairly tight. If I would have lost on this trade, I would have tried a little bit lower as soon as I started seeing that it was reaching more desirable and more significant levels lower. So for me, that was here. This was one of them. This was another one, so you guys can see that. And then below that, I would have only tried closer to about 397. So that's what I have here on QQQ. Basically, the SPY trade that I took was exactly the same. I took SPY, Qs, and IWM today, and that was all the accumulation for that $1,100 day that I took. So I didn't take many contracts. I took, on my put credit spread, I took 5. And then for my calls, I took 3 at a time, and then I left some runners. That's it. I took 4 trades today, and it amounted for $1,100. 2 trades I took at losses. I lost $10 on 2 false start trades. And then I made some money here on a call position on the Qs, and I also made some money on a put credit spread position, which was the bulk of my trading day on the trade that I just laid out for you. All right, so let's look at our agenda right here. Let's look to see what else that we have. We went over the trading scalps. I'm going to give you guys 5 trading ideas real quick. So my 5 trading ideas, all in all, I'm looking still at the airlines. I talked about this yesterday, but I still think that the airlines might be interesting. So airlines, I'm still looking at a brush above 1475 for AAL, and then DAL. This is also going to count as a trade idea. DAL is already rejecting a little bit here. If we have a pullback, I would like to see if we can get in at 39.65. If we can't hold that, then I think maybe $35, but I don't think it trades down to 35. I actually think that it breaks above here. I think Boeing recovers as well. So Boeing is going to be here. Boeing is already sort of interesting. So I talked about Boeing yesterday. I said that we might get a little bit of relief and then some continuation. I know no one's going to remember this. I know, of course, I'm going to remember this. I said down at about 215 is where I'm starting to get interested in Boeing. So Boeing gave up another 2.5% today. We need another $7 move to the downside before I'm really starting to get interested. So looking at some of the boomer indicators, they like their RSI, don't they? So RSI on BA is close to 30. So this is an interesting trade for me. So I will see if we can put on a trade as soon as we start getting the pivot, the turn, the bullish engulfing, the volume, all that stuff. We're not getting the moving average crosses quite yet. And we're not going to be taking longer DTE trades on moving average crosses on the 30-minute. We don't do that. But what we do is we look at the 4-hour and the 2-hour time frame. And from there, we're looking to make a decision. So for me, 215, 217, let's call it that. And then as low as 204. And then we have this decadent little pocket at about 190, 194. So we all saw that max 90 jet, or not jet, or just plain whatever. One of the doors for the passenger side, mid-plane, it just blew off, right? The bolts just blew off. If anyone saw the interview for the CEO of Boeing, I thought his response was phenomenal to it. But right now they're getting very bad press, extremely bad press. So this is why the price action is doing what it's doing. So fundamentally, there is something there that is being attacked. This is why price action is doing what it's doing. I'm waiting for that turn. That's as simple as that. All right, so let's go over 2 more trading ideas. One particular trading idea we've already talked about, but IWM I'm sort of interested in. IWM trading down to about 188 is the level that I'm looking for. So $5 move to the downside. So that's going to be trade idea number 4. And then an additional trade idea. This one is a little bit complicated, but JP Morgan. So we've already talked about this, but I do think that JP Morgan trades down to. I'm gonna put my hand on the hot stove here for a second, but I think it trades down to at least about 165. So 165 is gonna put us here. If we do get a shot to the upside, that's okay, but I would prefer to take the trade after we get the earnings report and seeing if we can get continuation down to about 165. So those are my 5 trading ideas right there. That's all I have for this presentation. Hopefully some of you guys have some insight into my world, what it is that I do. I know that I talk fairly quickly. I know that I go through technical analysis fairly quickly, but it's all a matter of, you need to calculate information fairly quickly in order for you to be up to speed in this overall game. Does anyone have any questions for me? I'm just going to pull this YouTube tab off here to the side. Does anyone have any questions for me? Anyone that's watching this presentation with me? I'm going to hang out here for 30 seconds if we have no questions. If you're watching the recording to this, no problem at all. Obviously, you can't be asking questions with a recording. So this is me live here for January 11th. But another 30 seconds, and then we'll call it a day. Do I ever buy leaps? So yes, I do. I do eventually buy leaps, but for right now, I don't buy leaps where we are. I only buy leaps under the contingencies of where we're oversold dramatically on a market. So a lot of the people in the Discord group don't know this, but I've had my version of leaps, but on things that I think are going to recover. So my leap position is on TLT. So I took a very, very, very large leap position on TLT when we were low enough. So my position is already up about 15%, and I took this out for 2026. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my position. I took a put credit spread, which is a form of a leap, but when we talk about leaps, you're talking about calls a year, 2 years out. I actually like those positions, but I only like those positions when you're on daily and weekly time frames where you're just unbelievably oversold. I mean, it's like no question. So at one point, I remember one of our guys, I'll share his name. His name is Kwong. A lot of you know who he is. So BRKB. I keep on thinking in the beginning. So whenever I say something that's similar to that, this is a hilarious video. But my guy for BRK, so this is Berkshire Hathaway. He did take his leaps when we were trading. I believe when we were trading at roughly about 305 is when he took his leaps. And what I think he did was a 310 call. And he did that for about a year and a half out. So leaps are awesome. They really, really are. But depending on where you are on your oscillators, right? So your oscillators are going to be your your indicators. Any sort of oscillator that you have, you better make sure that you're pretty sold off pretty hard. So another candidate for this, if you're looking at leaps, there are such a thing as higher quality stocks. BLK is one. If you don't know what BLK is, bro, you need to do some homework. But BLK is a candidate for this. I have not taken this position. I took it in the bond market. Everyone knows I have a crap ton of money in the bond market. But anyway, for BLK, when you are oversold like you wouldn't believe, like you wouldn't imagine, you're looking to take your leaps. This is some insight in what it is that I do. I was looking for my leap or my long position closer to 544, 545, Jesus. So I was looking for my leap position here, but then all of a sudden, right whenever we got the report that we were definitively going to cut interest rates just maybe about 2.5 months ago, and this is where the entire market started to revert. I didn't get my chance here. So this is an opportunity, and I'm hesitant to tell you this information because I don't want anyone to misconstrue, but I'm gonna make this abundantly clear. I am not looking to take leaps on Disney, nor do I recommend you do it. But if this was a little bit of a higher quality stock for right now, because Disney is not a high quality stock right now, I'm sorry, but it's not. But if we look on the monthly time frame, it's low enough where it would constitute some sort of leap position. As you guys can see, I plan out every single little trade that I take, every single one. So if we got low enough on Disney, for me, my target area, you can believe this or not, but if we got down to about 35, I would put some money in on Disney. For me, it's still looking just to crack a couple of these levels lower. So only buying leaps on things that are unbelievably low. I'm not looking to gamble too much of my money for any leap position that I take. Does anyone have any additional questions for me? That was a brilliant question, by the way. All right, everyone, I'm going to call this a day. Hopefully that this was informative and gave you just a little bit of glance of what it is that we do in our Discord group. Remember, you have myself, Shafi, and you also have Nick Paul. We all trade different styles. Myself, I'm more of a longer term sort of a strategic sort of person. I like to strategize around anywhere between 30 to 60 DT or longer. Then we have Shafi, which is more intraday, and then you have Nick Paul, which is doing more so scalp positions where you're literally looking to be surgical with your entries. So we're gonna call it a day, guys. I really appreciate your time of you guys being here, and you know I'm gonna be live tomorrow too. I'm gonna be going live quite often, because not only do we want people to be excited about trading as much as I am, right? Even though, you know, I swing my positions and sometimes I lose a lot of money, but trading is where it's at. It is a high income skill, and make no mistake, if you know how to do this right, you can make unbelievable amounts of money, but you need to be patient and you need to play the long game in our opinions. All right, guys, see you guys in the Discord. Everyone take care. Enjoy your night.